I'm going to recommend a few history books today, and I've avoided works that are very, dense, and I've avoided works that are from within a tradition. So I've avoided foundational works that teach you how to study history, and then from there on, you know, go on for their analysis. So something that is very general. I think the first work is Global Economic History, a very short introduction by Robert C. Allen. Now, short introductions are, famous for being not thorough, and I guess that's the point. It's a short introduction, but Robert C. Allen's introduction to economic history is very very valuable and very instructive, because he does not give too much priority to one point of view of writing history. So you'll see this both there is institutional analysis. He doesn't go too deep into institutional analysis. There is purely, economic analysis, like you'd find in someone who trusts too much with trust too much puts too much trust in neoclassical models. So that kind of analysis is also there, and then the analysis spans across a lot of civilizations and a lot of time. So that's also very interesting and valuable to read. However, you'll get frustrated because the author does not dive too deep into some things. So for instance, when he discusses Japan, and he's explaining why was it that Japan was able to successfully industrialize and build institutions that would, that could compete with the West. He sort of glides over the objections that you could make in his arguments. So that's one of the weaknesses, that it doesn't dive deep enough, but it's, I guess, also the strength, and that, you get an idea of what you're into, what you're getting into when you're reading economic history. And the second book is, this is not really a history book as such, but analysis of the Chinese political system. The book is called The Party and the People, Chinese Politics in the 21st Century. It's by Bruce J. Dixon. And now because I sort of read these, dense analytical works, this work struck me as refreshingly unbiased, because of course people who are of the, left stream will say it is biased, because it, uses capitalist standards and Western democratic standards to judge a political system. However, I think as far as foreign analysis of Chinese systems have gone, this is very unbiased, and it deals very clinically with the party structure, how the party structure mirrors the state structure, how, the party is always in charge, and Xi Jinping's recent decisions, what have been the impacts, and so on. The succession struggle with Jiang Zemin and Hu Jintao, how Hu Jintao sort of was this the least powerful ruler amongst amongst the rulers that have graced the Chinese stage for so long. And there is also a religious uh, analysis of how the party deals with religion, and I think that's the best part of this book. So yeah. And now the third book, this is rather dense, but I think this is one of the most important history books that I've read. It sort of, widened my horizons by a margin I cannot describe. This is A History of World Agriculture, from the Neolithic Age to the Current Crisis. This is the author. And I do not agree fully with the author's thesis that all markets, all third world agricultural markets need to be protected, and that is the only way for, that is the primary way for surplus to, fizzle out into industry. I do not agree with that thesis. I do not agree fully with it. I think there is some truth to it. I think there is much to be said about protectionism when one side is obviously disadvantaged, and when geopolitics enters the scene. So I'm not a, naive economist in that sense. But the most valuable thing about the book is that it teaches you to think about human societies in such technical terms, in such, basic terms, because we are essentially animals, and our freedom in the world, our uh, capacity to cooperate, our capacity to make war eventually depends upon how much food we can produce as a society. And so these forms of agriculture that have developed in the past, from slash and burn, to using of the scythe to cut the grass, to using the plow, and then finally to motorized agriculture. And even in motorized agriculture, there have been levels of motorized agriculture that are just so widely different. And so this ability to look at human surplus of food in terms of what people have been able to get off the ground, it's so instructive. It's so instructive in the way you can tie together, if you have ambitions to be a historian, to write intelligently about societies, to tie together this whole picture from how the farmer makes his food to how the bureaucrat makes his laws. So if you can tie this all together into a nice packet, this is, I think, the most comprehensive form of creating history, as you write history, as Collingwood would have said. So I think this is a very valuable book, and I delight. There's a smile in my face when I talk about this book, because it's sort of yeah, it's sort of made me think of myself as a lot more intelligent after I read the book. So that's what great books can do. They make you think you're ahead of other people in the tools that you have now to analyze the world. So yes, these three books. And I think I'll write about some giants. I'll talk about some giants like Francis Fukuyama and Fernand Braudel in one separate video.